Okay, we're going to be having a look at how to sketch a graph, a linear graph, using the gradient and y-intercept method. So I've got a few examples here. If you remember, we have our standard equation in the form of y equals mx plus c, where the plus c bit is our y-intercept and the m bit is our gradient. Which is also equal to rise over run. He doesn't look very good, does it? We'll fix that up. So our gradient is equal to rise over run, and the plus c bit on the end is the y-intercept. Remember, the m is the coefficient of x, or how many x's that we have. So if we have a look at the equations that I've given you there, for the first one, y is equal to 3x minus 1. What we do is we start with the minus 1. That would be minus 1 on the y-axis, which will be right here. And then what we do is we use our gradient. The gradient is 3, and if that is written as rise over run, we turn it into a fraction, we call it 3 over 1. So what that tells us to do is we would start at our y-intercept, which is -1, and then we go up 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then we go across 1 to get our second point, which would be right there. And then to sketch the graph, we go, oops, almost through those 2 points. Might see if I can make that a little bit straighter. So starting again, we were through there and through there, and I'll see if I can use a ruler on this iPad to get it a bit better without drawing lines everywhere using the ruler. That's the problem with these little touch screens, is every time you rest or something on it, you get all these extra lines that you don't want. And the stylus is a bit thicker than I want it to be too. Anyway, it's all trial and error, so we go something like that. So that's roughly what it's going to be. I've got a little extra black line there that I shouldn't have. Anyway, get rid of that little bit there. So if we move on to the second equation, y equals -2x plus 1, so we're going to start with our y-intercept of plus 1, which will be right there. And for our gradient, m is equal to rise over run, which is equal to, looks like rise over ton, -2 over 1. So if it's a whole number, just write it as a fraction over 1. So that when it's a negative rise, it tells us that we need to go down by 2. So starting at our y-intercept of +1, we're going to go down by 2. And then we go across by 1. Remember, the run is always going from left to right. That will give us our second point. And again, I'll see if I can get this ruler down pat. So we start with the y-intercept, then we apply the run to it later, at second. So that should be about there, I think. I'll get a straight line like that. Now for the third one, as we just change the colour of our pen, we have a y-intercept of +2. So our y-intercept of +2 will be right in here. You can see I've just drawn that green line. And we have a fraction as our rise over run. So in this case here, m equals rise over run, which equals 2/3. So just write the fraction down, 2/3. What that means is that we go up 2 and we go across 3. So starting at our y-intercept, we've got a positive rise of 2, so we're going to go up by 2. And then we go across by 3. 1, 2, 3 to the second one point there. Like that. Not close. And then what we do is draw a line between the two. Didn't draw. Like that. Okay. And that, all that green stuff down the bottom there is where my ruler was resting, so sorry about that. Do want me to rub it out for you. Here we go. Get rid of that for you. Okay, so that's the type of thing. There's more ruler marks up the top there. Unbelievable. We'll go on to some more examples. For the first one that we have here, we have a y-intercept of positive 2 there, and our gradient m equals rise over run -4, so this will be -4 over 1 as a whole number, so just put it over 1. So that'll tell us that we have to go down by 4, and then we go across by 1 to there. Again, let's see if we can do this ruler without doing too much scribble. Not quite. Something like that anyway. I might try that one again because you do need to try and draw accurate graphs. Okay, so the stylus that I'm using has this big flat base on it that makes it a little bit difficult to predict where you're going to be drawing. Oh, I'm moving everything now, and that's the other thing with using a ruler is you press all these buttons you don't want to press. No! There, that's a bit better. Okay, for the second one that we have, look at this. We have y equals 1/2 x. What we can do is we can pretend that this is a plus 0 if there's nothing tacked on the end, which tells us that our y-intercept is going to be 0. Right in there. That middle, if you remember, is called the origin, and our gradient is equal to -1/2 for our rise and run, so that tells us that we're going to go down 1 and we're going to go across 2 for our second point that we need for our linear graph, like that. And see if we can draw this on a line here. Something like that. And the last one that we're going to have is written the wrong way around. We can rewrite this as y is equal to -x plus 2. Notice how I've kept the negative that was in front of the x still in front of it, and I can also rewrite that as -1x plus 2. So we have our y-intercept of 2. So we've used that one a few times now. That's back up there. And our gradient, m, will equal negative 1 over 1. So it goes down 1 and across 1 to the second point there, which will be there. And that will be a gradient that just goes down through all the consecutive diagonals. Oh, didn't quite do it. But you're sort of getting the idea. It should be going through all of the consecutive diagonals. It's of course, unless my graph is paved, grid might be a bit warped too. I don't think so though. Better. Like that. Okay, so that's a few examples of how you would use the gradient and y-intercept method to sketch some straight line graphs. And don't forget your axes. You should have your axes labelled, x and y. I might just go back.